A very good afternoon to one and all. I am Kiran Shinde, Assistant Professor IICMR MCA. Once again, welcome you all to Talk 7 of Webathon 2020, a webinar series hosted by Institute of Industrial and Computer Management and Research, IICMR Pune, with a theme Engage, Explore and Empower. Today we have planned webinar on a very interesting domain, information security and cryptography by Mr. Yashwant Bordekar, Associate Cyber Security at TIAA, the Teachers Insurance and Annuity Association of America. Access to the internet and digital technologies has become essential for most of us in our everyday lives. Cybersecurity challenges are growing along with the expansion of the internet. Actually, the hacking world is growing faster. In line with this threat, the objective of today's webinar is to have an overview of cybersecurity, understand domains in cybersecurity, to explore career opportunities, and very interestingly, we are also going to see demonstrations which are based on cryptographic tools. So as a convener of today's webinar, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Yashwant Bordekar, Associate Cybersecurity at TIAA. Mr. Yashwant Bordekar has 7+ years of experience in secure architecture, design review, application security, compliance auditing, vulnerability assessment, and AWS cloud security. He has worked with Zento Systems, IBM, and HSBC. In his current role as security associate, he is working with TIAA in infrastructure risk assessment and AWS security. So once again, welcome Mr. Yashwant Bordekar to today's webinar on information security and cryptography. Before we begin this webinar, just a couple of instructions to all the participants. Please keep yourself mute and switch off your videos so that you will get seamless experience in this particular webinar. And of course, you are allowed to raise your queries, type your questions in the chat box available with MTeam. So now over to Mr. Yashwant Bordekar. Mr. Yashwant?
Yeah, thanks, Kiran ma'am. Let me share my screen and I'll start. So my introduction is already done, so I'll not repeat anything about me, and we can directly jump onto the cyber security and cryptography. And today's agenda, what we're going to cover is about overview of cybersecurity, then various domains in cybersecurity we have, and know about cryptography, where we use what is cryptography and how we can perform hands-on using free tools that is available anywhere on the internet. So let's start with the definition about what is cybersecurity, and I think Kiran ma'am started with as an information security and cryptography. So we'll tell you difference as well. So securing things that is vulnerable through information and communication technology. So whatever we have over the internet, we're accessing through mobiles, IoT device, everything. So that comes under cybersecurity to protect. And when we say information security, it's a subdomain of cybersecurity, also a subset of it, and it's only related to information or data which we have over the internet. So that's the only difference between information security and cybersecurity. So before going to cybersecurity and we learn about cryptography or any other domains, everything. We'll see what we exactly trying to do in cybersecurity or information security. So there are quite pillars we can call, or mostly known as CIA triad. So that is nothing but confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and that is what we are trying to protect or balance. So what is confidentiality? It is something the information or the security principle that controls access to information, and it designed to ensure the wrong people cannot gain access to sensitive information. And let me give you an example of that. So the password we have for online banking, ATM pin, or phone locks we put on our phone, so that we call confidential information, right? Because we don't want anyone else which is not authorized to access it should have access to it. So we just want to make sure, okay, that information is somewhere confidential. So what we do is we try to write down password somewhere at hidden place or somewhere in a diary in coded way, encrypted way. So that is nothing but a confidentiality. Integrity is if I'm trying to send some message to anyone, that should not be get modified in between, right? So if I'm sending some email or something to anyone, I want to make sure that is not get modified. Or now example for this is credit card statements which we receive from our banks, or any account statement which we receive from our banks. We don't want to, to get modified those. Availability is the next. So it is, the access to that information, it is by authorized people. So on my, say, Facebook or my banking, so whatever information that should be available, right? We don't want like our internet banking portal should be down anytime, or it is not accessible. So how we protect this information? So that we are going to see in cybersecurity. So confidentiality, we use encryption. For integrity, we use hashing. For availability, we use the CIA, the confidentiality encryption, as well as hashing and all those things. So when availability impact, so you heard about DDoS attacks and everything. When someone try to access the sites and change those sites with some different sites, and that is where availability is hampers. Now, next is accountability, authentication, and non-repetition. So that is again kind of subset of this CI triad, and this is also we want to protect. So accountability, why we need to protect? We don't want someone accessing our information as saying that, okay, I have not accessed it, right? Or maybe online money transfer from one account to another account, and we don't want that bank could say that, okay, this is not transferred to your account, and you're saying no, this is something which is transferred from my account itself, right? So how we can protect, or how we can measure that scenario that, okay, someone is actually hacked or compromise our account, so that we check an accountability. Authentication is nothing but verification of identity. So we enter username and password. So username is our identity, password we have as our we use for authentication, and the combination is used to identify, okay, this is what Yashwant is logged in, then the authentication is done, right? So we're claiming that, okay, this is the identity. Non-repudiation is just an someone should not be claimed that, okay, I cannot deny that I have did something, that validity of something. So how we can achieve that? Using accountability, and we are going to see that in next slides about digital signature. So someone is saying that, okay, I have done something and cannot deny. So what we do is to use some logging mechanism to ensure that someone is not denying anything. So that is nothing but a non-repudiation. So any question or any queries in these 6 concepts? If no, we can move on, right? Okay. So next, so this is domains in cybersecurity. So you can have different career opportunities in these various domains. So if someone is interested in coding, and so he can go to secure architecture, designing, or maybe the secure coding, code review, that part. If someone interested in IAM, the authentication related part, so he can go into access control. If someone is saying, okay, I'm not interested in actual hands-on and everything, but I still want to go into security. So that is also possible. So you can go into risk assessment, then compliance, auditing, that part. So we're going to just go through all over the domains. So physical security. So this is nothing but the same physical security we have in our homes, the main door, wall, gates. But you have seen in IT or maybe the companies, there is a turnstile, so gate where we actually swipe our card or something. There are high walls, so that is nothing but a physical security, or the racks for our servers. So that is also locked. So that comes under physical security. Access control is something when we try to access something, so we should be authenticated and authorized. So just I mentioned swipe machines, right? So that swipe machine is a combination of physical security and access control. So those are only having access, they only can come into our premises, right? So that is nothing but an access control example. Or maybe the access to our servers or access to our machines, so that we have authentication, right? Only company username and passwords are allowed to get access to our environment. So that comes under access review, access control. Then the next domain is security architecture and design. So here what we do is we try to make sure that confidentiality, integrity, and availability will be protected throughout the architecture of that any project or any website. So now consider I'm building something, a banking website, right? And I want to make sure that that is secure from the scratch. So how we make sure that? So we include security from design phase itself. So once the project started outlining, okay, this is how we are going to build our online banking. We will be having mobile app, we will be having website. So if mobile app will be there, then we raise a question. So, okay, how you are going to authenticate to mobile users? Okay, we are going to use fingerprint scanner. So how that fingerprint scan details will be stored in your mobile. So that everything comes under security architecture and design. Then software development and application security. Most of you will know about coding, right? We code in Java, PHP, everything. But we have practice, or we have habit of copying code from any other third-party sites using insecure libraries. So how we make sure that that piece of code will not going to compromise our organization. So that comes under security, code review, application security, and we review codes as well as we review applications. Next is network security. In network security, it's quite easy to understand you because at your home you are having routers, switches, and everything, right? So how we can make sure that whatever data we have and passing through those devices is not getting compromised. So you heard about don't use cyber cafe or maybe public CCD or some network because they can be compromised, or they can sniff your data or they can watch your data going through. So we make sure that okay, this is not possible in our organization, and in a way we also sometimes do that sniffing to identify what our employees or someone is passing through that network. So that whole domain comes under network security. Next is cloud security. So cloud security looks after. So currently we are migrating to the cloud, right? It's not someone starting directly on the cloud. So whatever infrastructure we have currently in our on-premises or in our data centers, we try to send that data and our infrastructure to cloud. So lift and shift, or maybe someone is trying to develop something new into cloud. So we have to make sure that in all clouds, AWS, Azure, Google, or say OpenShift, anywhere. So what security precautions should be taken by us, because most of the cloud security part is taken by the cloud providers, like because they provide us as an infrastructure as a security, maybe software as a security, or maybe platform as a security. So based on these verticals, we identify what kind of security threats will be available to our organization assets, and we perform cloud security reviews. The next is cryptography. So cryptography, why we use, I already explained. This is for the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of our data, so that our data, if someone gets access to our data, he should not make anything out of it. That's why we encrypt it, right? And this is how the cryptography. So that's what we're going to see in the next slides. Operational security, that comes under analyzing threats, or what kind of issues will be our organization, the same operations, what will be risk, and etc. So that comes under operational security. And maybe we have seen in the movies, right, a lot larger screens, people are working something, they're saying something is coming, something is going out to their company, and they're saying, okay, this is someone is attacking us. And so that kind of thing come under operational security. Next is information security governance and risk management. So this is quite interesting field, and I'm quite working in this as well. So this is about outlining organization-wide policies, procedures for the security related things. So all the fields I mentioned, say cryptography, application security, cloud security. So for that, someone need to govern that, right? Okay, this is we should build application. This is you should design cloud. This is you should design cryptography. So all that is done by information security governance and risk management team. So they build some policies, standards, procedures for us to review, right? So these are the standard procedures and policies we follow while doing all the rest of the security, right? So any question on this? Okay. Just let me know if there are any queries. Or I'm being too fast. Fine.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, Mr. Yashwant, like if there are queries, like of course we will let you know, and you can just a little bit slow down your speed also. It's a request.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so next we'll move towards encoding, hashing, and encryption. This comes under cryptography typically if we review. So in encoding, we are not achieving as such anything in CI, right? But more on side usability, I would say. And hashing, we achieve integrity, and in encryption we achieve confidentiality, and if we go for integrity as well, right? So okay, let me share something about encoding and why we use encoding. So we use encoding, where we are on a channel where those are meant to send, say, binary data to say textual data, but we use something called, say, binary data, right? So if I want to send something on, say, on URL, right, by GET, I'll show something. .com, right? And with that, I want to say send some data, right? I'll just enter. So if you've seen that there is space I've included, so that is get replaced by 20, right? And this is so this is just a small example, and this kind of things happen when we try to send data via URL. So what I can do is, if I want to avoid this scenario, I can just write any website or any data which I want to send, right? I'll take same example. I'll just copy this and say base 64 encode, and I'll do encoding of this. So this is giving me some random string, right? So this is something which I can decrypt or decode at other end. So another example I'll give you. So this is about image. So the tools or the whatever sites I'm using, so that is completely free. So you can just Google, you want to encode anything, or then you can try. So now I have uploaded selected one file. I'm just encoding it. Right. Just click here to download. So this is nothing but a something encoded image, right? And I want to send it via browser or maybe via URL, I'll specifically say, or at other end, right? So what I'll do is I'll just use the same site maybe to decode, right? I'll go here, it gives me pop-up. Let's just download. I'll just click decode, and it will again here for me to. And this was the image which I used to encode and decode. Just nothing but my signature. Fine. So next we'll move to understand hashing, right? So hashing we use for integrity of data. Say if I'm trying to send something to another party, I just want to make sure that this is not get modified in transit. So what I need to make sure is I just need to hash the data. I'll communicate that same hashing mechanism to some other person and the message, and so that he can verify that data is not modified in transit. So I'll give you an example for that. So I want to send some message. This is a sensitive message, right? Add something from IICMR, right? And I want make sure that this message is not getting modified when I send someone, right? So I can use any hashing algorithm. So MD5, MD2, MD4, those are deprecated. I would say they can get compromised, and someone can create another string using these algorithms. So we'll use something secure, say SHA-512, right? And we'll hash it. Now this is something we got like once we hash this string, right? Now you'll be asking, okay, what kind of integrity we are achieving using this. So I'll tell you. So this message will keep here. Now if someone modified this message, like I sent you this message, right, and this hash, right? So definitely I need to send hash via different channel so that you'll get to know this is not modified. So I sent you this via email and I text you this SHA-512 hash, right? And someone modified something, someone just put in space in here, and then he created hash of it. Now you can say the hash value is changed, right? Or say if someone tried to modify that, so this is sensitive message from IICMR, and I'll say no, this is from CMC or something, and I'll just hash it. This is getting changed, right? So when you already have this hash, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to compare this hash with whatever message you received, right? This is not the same, definitely not the same, right? A29 BC, and this is something E29 something. So what I'll do is I'll again change it to IICMR. I'll hash it, and now these two strings are same, right? E29 and E29, etc. So this is nothing but a hashing. We made sure that okay, this is integrity of that message. No one has changed the message in between, and if someone changed, we'll get to know. But there are some drawbacks as well. for hashing. Like we cannot use it for confidentiality, right? Because this cannot be reversible. So if I send someone only this hash message and I'll ask him to just get some meaning out of it, so that is not possible. For someone to compare, what we need to send is this message, right, as well as this string. So but what we can achieve is we can achieve integrity. We make sure that if someone modified this message in between, we will get to know that okay, this message has been modified. So just remember this, the hashing is one-way function, right? We cannot reverse it, and it used for integrity, so that we can see how it can use in further cryptographic implementations. Yeah. Next is encryption. So there are encryptions. You guys are aware: symmetric encryption, asymmetric encryption, and algorithm, etc. And why we use is to protect our information. Yeah. Now, when we say protect our information and why we need all those things, the cryptographic things, the encryption, hashing. So how many of you actually checking the HTTPS symbol when you try to log into your online banking, you try to log into Gmail, you try to log into Facebook, anywhere? No one checks it? We check, right? That if I try to access something, right? Say I'm trying to access, say, efc.com, right? So I want to make sure this is there, right? That's the symbol, lock symbol. So what that lock symbol means? So this is what we want to make sure. Okay, this is now what we're going to understand. What is this? The connection is secure. So why this is secure? Because they are using digital certificate, right? And whatever information or whatever data is going between us, like our browser and their server, it's secure, right? So someone is not coming and watching what we're trying to send, right? So if I just go and maybe logged in and I try to send some chat information or something, so that is going over a secure channel. So no one, like right now I'm at ICMR campus, and so even the admin, those who are having access to router or switches to ICMR devices, so they even cannot see our message, right? Why? Because that is encrypted, right? And when we say encrypted, it means no one can see. So how it is possible? So that we're going to see into next slide, right? So this is the example. Like someone is like Andy is communicating with Sam, and it's some. Yeah, is there any question? Okay, so how this person cannot get that information? So that is encrypted. And when we say encrypted, why? So now before we move to the actual example of symmetric encryption, asymmetric encryption, let's understand just a couple of key terms about cryptography. So cryptology is nothing but a science of secure communication, right? Cryptography, so we create some message with hidden meaning in it, just using encryption. Cipher is a cryptographic algorithm. So the SHA-51, SHA-512 that I told, again, Diffie-Hellman algorithms, your RSA you might heard about. So that is nothing but a different ciphers we use. Plain text is just a plain text message. When we encrypt that message, that becomes a cipher text. Yeah. Then encryption is just converts a plain text to cipher text. So that is nothing but a encrypted message is a cipher text. And decryption is we turns that cipher text again back to plain text. So in encryption, we can actually reverse that message, right? Whatever message we are going to send to someone else, we can reverse it. So we don't have to send that hash and everything, right? So we can make sure we don't need that hashing thing. So this is a symmetric, typical symmetric key example Bob analyzed. So he's sending some message that is encrypted using secret key that is get decrypted, and Alice can see that message, right? And we are using same secret key, right? So what this provides us? This provides us confidentiality, right? So that no one, right? No one who's not having access to that secret key definitely will not be able to read that message, because I'm writing something and encrypting using some key, and only Alice can decrypt that using the same key, right? And this is faster because the algorithms or mathematical calculations which we use for symmetric encryption, that is quite faster. So why we use the symmetric encryption algorithm? We use to encrypt or decrypt bulk data, right? And this is quite fast for processing and effective only if we use longer key. So longer key, when I say, so if I use key, say a single word key or a 2 words key, that will be quite easy to crack someone, right? Using some automated tools. But if I use longer key or maybe a sentence or maybe some special character or something, so that will be a bit difficult for anyone to decrypt that message. But as you see, there is a drawback So one drawback is about this key transfer, right? So if I sending some message to someone, right, via email, I need to transfer this key as well to someone else, right? Like to that person via another channel. So I need to call him and tell, okay, this is your key. And about key management, so now imagine I'm communicating with one person, so that will create one key between us, like one key pair. I'm communicating with person B, so that will again will force me to create another key pair, and it will go on, right? So if I'm communicating with 100 people, that will create 100 key pairs, right, for me, and similar for that 100 persons, right? So they will be having n number of keys. We can imagine, right, how many keys will be having. So let's see how the symmetric encryption works. So we'll specify that Yashwant and key, and this is message. This is message from, and this is the algorithm, or nothing but a cipher, right? So what we are going to use is the cipher. So we'll say anything we can use. So whatever default R4, we will use this. And the mode, so mode that will not go into detail. So there are a couple of more CBC mode, CTR, and so that is nothing but a mathematical calculation how the remainder and all we can use, right? So encode output, we'll say no, we don't want to encode output with this. So we'll just copy this key because this is something important we have to use, and I'll encrypt this. Yeah. So this is nothing but an encrypted message using Regendel algorithm, right? So this is encrypted message, and no one can decrypt this message without this key, Yashwant key, right? So if I want to decrypt that message, I can decrypt it using any other site as well. So let's go here and use decrypt tool. So this is the encrypted string we have. Let's copy this here, and my encryption key, I'll put it here and say decrypt this. Now we can see this is message from ISML. So now you might think, okay, this is the same website we used, right? And how we can do it using another site. Now what we'll do is we'll have all these things. We'll try something using Google, like encryption. Whatever result we get. Okay, we'll use this site now. Now this is what we want. Decrypt. And the key we have. Okay, we don't have options to use. Okay, so this is something different site. We will CBC mode. Our key is Yashwant key, and our this one decrypt. I think there is some formatting issue site, but we can decrypt the message using same key and on any other site, because we have the same key, same algorithm, same encrypted text, and the message. I am not sure why this message is not coming because of the site formatting issue. So, but now you will thinking, okay, this is what we're doing online tool, but how we will be doing using actual programming when we're doing using Java or using any other language. So to do this all things, we have built-in libraries. So those libraries we can use for actual implementation in the application. Now next is asymmetric encryption algorithm. So how we do in asymmetric encryption? We have two key now, Bob and Alice. So we Bob is encrypting using Alice public key because public key is only available. Private key will be with Alice only, right? And similar. So what I'll do is I'll encrypt the message using public key. I'll send it across the internet, and the Alice now you can use private key to decrypt that message, and she can see that message. So what is the advantage over symmetric algorithm is, first we get the confidentiality, right? Same is non-repudiation, so which we are not able to achieve in symmetric because the same key is used, right? So if I send message, then Bob or Alice, we cannot pinpoint anyone, right? But okay, this message is sent by you because the same key which we use was same. We can use, we are achieving integrity, so that we were achieving symmetric as well, and authentication. So how authentication, that we're going to see in further slides. But how authentication, because this is Alice public key, so only message encrypted using that key can be decrypted using private key. So if I try to encrypt something within some key and try to send with Alice, she is not able to decrypt that message. And similarly, even if I'm having any key pair and I encrypted message using this public key, I cannot decrypt it, right, using any other key. I need Alice private key itself. But there are some drawbacks as well. So one is speed, right? So use for key exchange is not a drawback. So this is used for key exchange. So how it works? We use this algorithm, asymmetric algorithm, over the internet, or the way I showed, there is a lock symbol for HTTPS. So browser and servers use asymmetric encryption algorithm to exchange actual session keys to encrypt the data, right? So when we say, I showed you this example, right? So HTTPS, so same, let's go to hdfc.com, right? So how this SSL communication happens, right? So there is a certificate. So in certificate, there is a public and private key, public key of the hdfcbank.com. So our browser, right, get that public key from the browser, from the this certificate, right? So that we're going to show in future, see in future, but still let's see. So this is nothing but a certificate we have, right, from the hdfc.com. They have their public key here, right, RSA 2048 bit key. So our browser use that key, right, to encrypt the session key, right? The session key, which is nothing but a symmetric key, right? So using browser's public key, right, this key, our browser using hdfc.com server's public key, our browser, so which is nothing but Bob, send some message to hdfc.com, and only hdfc.com can decrypt that message because it's their private key, right? So which is there securely. So you must be again asking, how we can make sure that key is secure. So that's why the digital certificate is there. And our browser, every time fetching that key, it checks with root or certificate authority that key is valid, that certificate is valid, and that is not compromised. So that we're going to see in further slide. But just an example. And we use this symmetric asymmetric. So this is nothing but a session key we use to transfer the data, right? Because we have drawback in this asymmetric key, right? Speed. So we cannot use this for the actual communication, because when we send data between us and any site, or say Facebook, right? So what you are uploading images, you're talking, sending message or something, with that this whole content gets encrypted, right? Whatever you're trying to send and receive. So, and you want response within a second. So that is not possible using asymmetric key. If every time I'll try to encrypt the message with browsers, bank's private public key and encrypt it and sending it again, the bank server is decrypting that message using its private key. So that will take a lot of time to just send and receive a message. We don't want that. So what we do is, once we get the public key from the HDFC website server or certificate, we use that public key. We encrypt. We browser create a runtime session key. That session key will send to the server, and we agree, right? Okay, this we are going to use. So that is nothing but a three-way handshake we call. And then that session key. So that is nothing but a symmetric key we use for the communication, right? I'm not showing example of that three-way handshake and communication because it's just a lighter, I would say, like overview session on how asymmetric and symmetric works. So in further sessions, we can go into that. So let's see example of how asymmetric encryption works. Okay, so this is some random site, right? We're using, use default settings, whatever it is. Now what I'm saying is generate RSA key pair, right? So in typical, like in ideal world, when organization or say HDFC.com, we took example, right? So how they will be doing this generating key pair, not definitely on the internet. So they do in their private environment. So in organization, on my Linux server, on my Windows server, whatever I'm using, I'll create, there are some different libraries are available or tools are available to create, because these two keys we have public and private. So private key is very important, right? We don't want to share that key with anyone. Yeah, and that's why for just an example purpose, I'm showing you this is somewhere over the internet. And otherwise that is created in-house in organization. So I create these key pairs, public and private, to communicate. I'll show you. I'm just writing it down on my notepad. Yeah, so this is nothing but a public and private key pair I use, right? Now what I'll do is say, now I'll say two person are communicating using this example. So let's take Bob and Alice itself. So I have Bob's key pair now, public and private. Now let's create Alice key pair. So let's click one more time.
Excuse me, Ashwin, you can just click on skip ads.
Skip ads, okay. Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll just create some random keys, so that we are not using some similar keys for that. So okay, now I'll create a generate RSA key pair. So that will be a completely different new key pair, right? So you have seen there is text changing right here. So this is the, say, public key I'm using for Alice. Private key, yes. Okay, so now we are ready to see. So I'll show you. So this is nothing but a Bob's public key I copied, private key, Alice public key, and private key, right? So now how they will be communicating using our asymmetric example, this one, right? So what I need to do is I need to take Alice public key, encrypt a message, send it to Alice. Okay, let's do it then. So now what I'll do is I'll take, okay, I'll share this as well. I'll take Alice public key, right? This is my public key. Okay, and where is that site now? Okay, right now refresh it. Okay, now we have actual message RSA encryption, right? Enter plain text to encrypt. I'll use this is now enter public or private key. Okay, so let's enter public key. So this is a public key, yeah. And what I'm saying is now encrypt this message, right? So this is encrypted message we have. Let's copy this encrypted message, keep it here, yeah. Now again we'll go to same slide. Don't look at ads. Now we want to decrypt that message, right? Now what things we need? We need first that message. Right. Copy that message. Enter a encrypted text to decrypt. Okay, this is it. Now what they're saying is they need a private key, right? Because now we are decrypting, so definitely private key. So now we use Alice public key to encrypt the message. So that means Bob send message to Alice, right, using her public key. And public key is something which is public. I can, you know, share over the internet. So that's what I just shown you on the browser certificate. So that was nothing but a public key. Now she needs to use her private key to decrypt that message. So she is using her private key to decrypt that message, and this is the message. This is Yashwant, right? So again, now the question is how we are using that in real world example, right? So for this key generation, there are key generation tools which I need to use in-house. I need to make sure this private key is somewhere password protected, maybe a multi-factor authentication, and store on a server, right? And in real time. So now when I'm trying to send message, again, this is the site which is something different. They also have a public key, right, in here. Right, RSA 2048 bit, and R is RSA 1024 bit, right? So this is what nothing but a key pair we created. So in similar way, they create a key pair, right? And what they do is they share this public key, right? Whatever public key we have created, right? This is nothing but a public key. So they share this public key with certificate authorities. So certificate authorities is nothing but VeriSign or say Symantec. Now you can see this certificate, who is authority for this certificate. Yeah, so it is issued by Encrypt Authority X3, right? So they actually go verify physical address, but then virtual address, everything of that particular company, and then they issue that certificate. So let's take C for hdfc.com. So this is issued by Thaute. So Thaute is nothing but another certificate authority, right? RSACA, Certificate Authority 2018, right? So then they have issued, and this is valid from 18 to 21, right? And you can see for the details, right? These are the details they have for the certification. They have the digital certificate they have created, and this is nothing but a part. So this is go to Thaute, and Thaute goes to DigiCert. So DigiCert is root certificate authority for hdfc.com, right? Now we're talking about all these things, digital certificate or maybe the digital signature. So what they do is, now again you will be asking how I can assure that this is actually signed by say VeriSign, that Thaute or Symantec, or maybe using DigiCert, right? So how I can make sure that even if my public keys, you know, which are public and they are associated with me, right, or Bob itself, right, because we use, or Alice. So in this message, Alice private key, Alice public key. So we only use Alice public key to encrypt that message and private key to decrypt that message, right? But how Bob can assure that, you know, this is Alice public key itself. Alice is saying, okay, just send her email, okay, send an email that this is my public key. But still I need some assurance, right? How I can make sure that, because it is lying on over the internet, right? So what I need to do is, this is nothing but I'll do verification of that certificate, right? So this certificate they are saying is signed by encrypted or by authority X3. So what our browser do is they verify the digital signature, right? Digital signature of certificate authority. So how they do is, to understand that, what we'll see is how digital signatures work, right? So digital signature is nothing but a data. We hash it, right? You remember the hashing algorithm. So we hash the data and we encrypt that hash, right? And once we encrypted that hash, we add that hash and that encryption into digitally into the document. So this is called a digital signature. Now say, what I'll do is, if I want to create a digital certificate, so this would look like my digital certificate. So my public key, right? So I'll hand over this public key to say DigiCert, so that they are nothing but a certificate authority. So what DigiCert will do, they will add my certificate. So, and they'll mention, so that you can see in certification, okay, this is nothing but public key of Bob, right? Then what they'll do is they'll hash this, right, using any hashing algorithm. Say they use SHA-512, right? And they mention this is a message digest, right? Enter please. And definitely this will be not be hashing. So hashing will change something to this, some random text, right? So this is nothing but a hash we have created. Now they'll mention hashing algorithm used, right? And what they'll mention is they'll mention hashing algorithm used, say SHA 512, right? Before hashing, they will be not only hashing this public key, but they will be mentioning what is hashing. Okay, this is say verified by us as DigiCert, right? Validity of that, all the details which you have seen in a previous slide and on a browser for any particular website, right? So all this information you can see details. So version, serial number, everything. So everything they include here, and then they create a message digest of it, right? So they create a simple hash string. So definitely no one can modify this message digest, right? So no one can modify that message digest. So definitely this whatever information is having, that is intact. And now they are saying, DigiCert is saying on their site that okay, this is what is published by us, right? So on a runtime, when browser request for a certificate to a site, I mean to this guys, so they get a certificate. But with that, at the background, with some different protocol that is called OSCP, that online certification revocation protocol. With that protocol, browser also check with DigiCert, right? Or maybe in this case, let's authority X3, that whatever certificate is issued, so that is issued by you or not, right? And that's why they get an assurance that okay, this public key is of that particular person itself, or maybe Bob itself, right? And so this is simple verification. So how they'll verify it? Now what they have is data, right? So this is nothing but a data. So and hash of the data. So once I receive this message, right, what I'll do is once whatever information I'm having, I'll just hash of this message, and a hash will be similar to this hash, right? So if it is confusing, let's create something. So this is my public key. What I'll add is serial number, right? I'll add so serial number, it's say 1234, enter, and then I'll create say validity of it, and that is say 12/21, right? I'll hash this using anything. I'll say online hashing, whatever comes. Let's use some secure SHA-224, hash this. We got some hash value, right? So this is our result, right? And this is what we're going to append here, right? Now this is received by me as an Yashwant Bodekar, or maybe someone who is. Now what I need to do is I just need to, whatever message I have received, I just need to again copy this message, right? Again perform the same thing, hash this, it will be same hash, and compare this hash value with whatever I have received via the certificate, right? So both values are same. It means this information with validity, serial number, etc. is not modified. So that is nothing but a digital signature. So we have data. So this is the data and validate and etc. We create a hash. So this is nothing but a message digest. We encrypt this hash, right? So additionally, what we can do is this whole thing, right? Hash and this. So now how we can make sure this is sent by DigiCert? So again, I copy this and the whole process I repeat. I know it's complicated, and I mean like not complicated, but lengthy and confusing. But once you get to use it, you will understand. So now this whole data with hashing, I'm encrypting again, right? So once I encrypt the data here, right, using my private key as a DigiCert or the certificate authority, it is digitally signed. So this means that whatever data I'm having, it is signed by DigiCert. So once I receive that, what I need to do is I just need to hash of the data. This is what I did, hash of the data, right? And compare, right? So signature, decrypt using signature's public key, right? And get hash out of it and compare the hash. So encryption, decryption, we just seen, right? The similar way, we just need to use the public key and private key, right, to decrypt. But in this signature thing, what we do is we just encrypt the message with private key. Yeah, so that is a bigger change. So in here, in this example, sorry for shuffling a lot of windows. Yeah, in example, what we did is we encrypted a message using LS public key, right? So instead that, when we use signature, so now this is say DigiCert, who is encrypting, who is providing certificate. So what we'll do is we'll use his private key, because we want to make sure that this is something actually encrypted by DigiCert. So we will use this private key this is the private key to encrypt this whole string, including actually hash. Right, so what I want to include is this whole thing. Okay. And also this is my private key, encrypt this. So whatever encryption comes, data must not know. Okay, so this tool is not supporting all value we are having, like this data thing. So we'll skip this part at least. We are saying that let's encrypt this, right? So we got the encrypted value. Well, again, this control A, control copy. We'll paste it here. I'll tell you what exactly I'm trying to do. So now this is nothing but our certificate data. We are assuming this is DigiCert's private key, which they signed for us, and they are creating certificate for us, right? And now they have created certificate and they're attaching this signature, right? Their signature, or they have encrypted that value into the our certificate. So when you want to decrypt, or when you want to see that okay, this is sent by DigiCert or not, what you have to do is you need public key this time, right, of DigiCert. So this is try one more time, fresh things. So this is my public key, right? So I just need to encrypt message with my private key. Copy this thing. My private key. And this is my certificate data. I'm not taking public key part because this is not supporting longer data. And now I'm saying encrypted. Okay, this is what I have an encryption. Paste it here. Now I need public key data. This is my public key. And now you can see that, right? This is the message which we encrypted, right? So what I'm trying to show you is how actual SSL work in real life, right? So how it works is, this is nothing but my certificate information, right, which is signed by certificate authority, which is DigiCert, right? And this information, right, is lies in my this certificate, right, the validity, etc., right? And this is signed by not me, by certificate authority, right? So that is nothing but a, they have signed by certificate authority, right, issued by this. And in their details, certificate path and everywhere, you can get that is digitally signed. That will also show you. Okay. Yeah, signature algorithm, signature hash algorithm, signature number. So that is what I'm saying. So signature algorithm thing, but they have used this. We are using something different. Issuer is Cloudflare and all. So in that certificate, right, the all information is included already. So which just we are trying to use. So this is information what we have, the serial number, etc., encrypted by DigiCert. We use that information and we decrypted that information using public key of DigiCert, right? Here. So this public key is not of DigiCert. This is public key of this particular site, but in that certificate, digital certificate information, we are verifying this public key. So this is the public key, whatever I'm showing this information. So this information will go here, right? And we're trying to verify this public key is signed by DigiCert, and we'll get to know after decrypting using DigiCert's certificate or maybe the signature. And that's why we get to know, okay, this is something signed by DigiCert. So this is a bit complex because you're not well versed with all the encryption, decryption, hash, and in digital certificate, or what I'm trying to explain you is in three-way handshake all comes together, right? And that's what create confusions. But once you go through all again and again, but what is hashing, encryption, and everything, then you will be able to try this example. And yeah. And this is how we can say that, but digital certificate we cannot use it for confidentiality because data is lying as it is, yeah, because whatever data, whatever certificate we have created, our data is as it is, right? So we are not hiding the data. We are just making sure that it is integrity of the data, and after signing the data, what we have created here, right? We just encrypted the data, right? All data again, and we are just appending this encrypted data as well. And we are making sure that, okay, this is authenticity of the data. So this comes here, control copy, and this is it is. So this is nothing but a digital signature for Bob's key. Why? Because this Bob's key is signed by DigiCert, right? And this is nothing but a signed by DigiCert, right? And if we want to verify, what we'll do is we'll decrypt this message using DigiCert's public key, which we did, and what we got is this, right? And again, we are not relying on that itself. Again, we are just creating hash of it and we are comparing. So we are sure that, okay, this is the public key which is not modified, and we can trust Bob's public key to send a message. Yeah. Yeah, and this is what it is, what I have just explained, digital certificate. So we are just having public key of Rosie, a certificate authority, someone who DigiCert who comes in, it signs it, and a public key of Mario, right? And name, organization, etc. as it is, and public key, and this is the digitally signed certificate, signed by the certificate authority. But I just tried, to show you how this flows works. I know this is a bit complex because understanding public, because what we did is in back-to-back examples, right? We used two different keys, public key to encrypt, private key to decrypt. Yeah. And again, in the next example, what we do is we reverse it, right? We use private key to encrypt, public key to decrypt. But this is a similar way. This is quite easy to remember. In digital signature, we use private key to encrypt because we want to prove authenticity, right? Because I have signed it and I'm providing authentication for that. And in here, we use public key to encrypt, right? Like someone else public key to encrypt his message, right? And in digital signature, I'm using my private key to encrypt some message, right? Because we want to achieve confidentiality. So once you play around it, you will get to know how it works. Yeah? I think that's it from my side. So any questions if you have? That was too fast, too complicated, just let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Yashwant. Participants, you can just type in your questions in chat box. Okay. Till then, we have one question. Mr. Yashwant, like what is the prerequisite as far as the knowledge is concerned to grab opportunities from career perspective for the students? Okay.
So I would say, like, I was expecting this question from student at how I can come into cybersecurity and how I can start career in cybersecurity. So as a fresher, the way we go and interview in companies, so that is not quite possible because we in industry we look for the experience in cybersecurity, but how experience will come, right? So there are different courses and different certifications. So I might provide you a list of it. So say certified ethical hacker provided by EC Council, Security Plus, and then there are like number of certificates. So that just you can Google it, security certifications. So if you have any certifications, right? So there are organizations, those who provide with some additional courses. I will not name it unless because that kind of will advertising those organizations, but or training institutes. So you can search and go for those training institutes, those who are providing security related courses, right? And then you look for the opportunity from them itself. So NII is one of them in Pune itself. So or NIC or NIT, I'll just confirm. So they provide you courses on cyber security. Say if you want to interested in audit, they'll provide you courses related to audit itself, right? So they have courses of audit, they have courses of say, web penetration testing and everything, and then you can directly go into organizations. Or if you join as a developer, you join as some other in any organization, you're already working as a developer or something, then you can develop your interest in security, like say do certifications in secure code or secure coding, and say OCJP or Java related certifications with security. And then you can show interest in your organization. Okay, I am someone who is working with security team, or maybe I have hands-on knowledge in security.
Yes.
And then you can get opportunity out of that.
Yes. Correct.
Because
correct.
if you're asking, just doing a certification and going into company and telling, okay, I am certified and just give me an opportunity, that is a bit difficult, because it's a critical field we're working, and most of the time everyone looks for someone who is having some experience, at least something, some background.
Yeah. We have next question. Is SHA-256 reversible?
Sorry, I missed that. What?
Is SHA-256 algorithm reversible?
No, any hashing is not reversible. So one example I missed. Okay, let me share my screen and show you that for password, I think, right? So most of the time we say don't share passwords, or don't use common passwords. So that I missed. Let me share you that thing. Just a moment. So when we say don't use common passwords, because I just said you, right, hashing is not reversible, right? But still, if you use common hash, right, say password 123 or some hashing like that, so that is quite possible. Because how it works, I'll say password 123, right? I'll hash it using MD5, hash this, I get something. Let's do some another so there are a lot of chances that this hash algorithm already available with this site, right? So why I'm telling that, because whatever hash, or when we use common passwords, right? So most of the sites are actually dumping it, or they are also creating some random passwords out of it. So query 123, or say password 123 or something. And so that's why it's quite difficult. It's quite easy to get those passwords. So even if SHA-512 is not available to decrypt, that can be cracked. I would say that can be hacked. I'm just trying to get that link open.
So it means we should not keep common passwords, like the passwords which we easily identify.
Let me show you that itself. So I used password 123, which we use MD5.
Participants, till then you can keep on typing the questions if you have in the chat box.
So they have this one. If we try on some another site, yeah, till then we can go for next question.
Yeah, sure. I think the next question was like these online platforms or these online tools, whatever you explored through this session, will they be sufficient for the students to learn and grab any career opportunities?
No, because this is something I was just shown just in hashing, encryption, those kind of example, right? But if you can just learn of it, but as a career opportunity, there's a lot of thing happening in cybersecurity. I would say, where you cannot just rely on these tools, because this is for a cryptography understanding. But if you want to understand cryptography, definitely yes. But in real time example, you want to perform something, you can use any actual development technology. You can take some PHP, you can take some Java, and try to perform this using actual core libraries of that of the language, right? Okay, so by that time, as you see in my screen, so this is something different site. I directly go and decrypted that MD5, right? Password 123. And I have created that on some different side, right? I have created here that hash, and I okay, what I did, yeah, and I decrypted it on some different site, and still I'm able to get that hash value. So why I'm showing that example? Because the password 123 was a common password, right? But if I tried using, if I tried something complex password and some random characters, so that will not be possible, because these sites are creating some common hashes of that algorithm, and they are storing it. And an organization, most of the time, not I would say like companies, but the common sites which we use, what they do is they use these hashing, only hashing algorithms to store our passwords, right? And that's why it's quite risky to store our passwords or use common passwords.
Correct. Yes, yes. Thank you for that answer, Yashwant. Actually, there is a last question from Nikhil Bhagwat. I think Nikhil has already answered, like what kind of knowledge I will need if I would like to go for network security and cloud security.
Yeah. So for network security, you can start with CCNA certification. That is basic understanding of network. That is the first thing. Then you can go for deep diver like CH and other certifications, which will tell and help you to explore what are the tools which we use to analyzing network in security. And then you can look for the opportunities, or maybe you can start interviewing with the companies. That is the first part. For cloud security, network and cloud, you cannot do it together, I would say, because it's two different domains. For cloud security, you again similar way, you can start with AWS, then you can start with AWS say solution architect, or any basic knowledge certification, and then the certification related to that technology. So AWS security specialty. So you can go with that certification, so that you will get how actually things works in that technology and related to security. And with that, if you have any prior security knowledge, certification, or reading or understanding, then that will be helpful. But this is something which you need to do hands-on. You cannot just go read and understand security, because if you want to understand something, then you have to go and read more and more stuffs about security. So we just covered about cryptography, but there is a lot of things in application, architecture, network. So you just need to understand about it.
Correct.
So if you're interested, you can go with OWASP. So that is Online Web Application Security Best Practices. So you can just understand that. So that is, I would say, first step in security, to understand what is security, what are different domains, and then you can explore more in that.
Okay, okay. And I think due to time constraint, this will be the last question. Actually, the same student is asking about data forensic, but he has not actually stated the question clearly. But can you throw some light on that?
There are institutes who are providing courses in data forensics. I'll let you know the college name. It's in Mumbai. I don't remember it. I don't have it top of my head. But there are courses available. So they are providing courses on how data forensics works, and the basic recon information, how you can gather information, etc. And definitely then you can again explore opportunities in data forensics.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Yashwant. Thank you very much for addressing the questions. I think we have come to the end of the session. Once again, I thank you for delivering a very interesting session on information security and cryptography. We all got to know about the real-life implementation of cryptography and the importance of cryptography in modern cyber communication. Once again, thank you very much. Now, very, very important announcement to all the participants. You will be seeing a URL which is actually mentioning the quiz for this particular webinar. You have to attempt for this particular quiz. After attempting for this quiz, you will get certified for this particular webinar. So please look at the screen. You can find the URL, and of course it is also posted in the chat box. You just attempt a quiz and get certified with today's webinar with e-certificate. Thank you. Thank you once again.